Hello there, it's the start of a new week. You're welcome to The Pulse. This afternoon we're asking the question, what's government's plan in addressing the flood crisis that keeps wreaking havoc in the nation? We'll get you some answers this afternoon as we hear from the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, as we explore Ghana's infrastructure plan, which is potentially deemed to be the problem to this crisis. But why are successive governments not implementing this? We'll get some answers for you shortly. We're also taking a look at the vetting process of the governing New Patriotic Party as three-time NPP flag bearer aspirant Alan Kujo becomes the very first of 10 aspirants to appear before Professor Koi and his vetting committee as the party begins 4 days of a vetting process for all aspirants of the governing New Patriotic Party today. We're live at the party's vetting venue where quite a lot has been happening throughout the day. And we know that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have shut the sea both to artisanal fishers. But what else is going on? We'll tell you the story as the Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association is raising concerns about activities of some civil society organizations in the country that are working against the country's effort to get the yellow card removed in terms of some more practices in the fisheries industry. I will get into the details for you here on The Pulse. Please stay. My name is Blair Sugan. Thanks for joining us here on The Pulse. And it has now become an annual ritual for rains to wreak havoc. And as we know, the floods in Ghana, and in most cases, it results in injuries, deaths, and some destruction of property as well. Successive governments have, in their own ways and methods, have fashioned some strategies to address the problem. But why have these measures not worked over the years? Is there really a plan that will work effectively to address this crisis and the situation that we face? Why have we not successfully try as much as possible to solve this crisis? This afternoon, we host the Director General of the National Development Planning Committee, Dr. Kojo Mensah Abrampa. But before that, let's bring you a background story where we have two reports from Floods of Trauma series. First is that of Maxwell Agbagba, who engaged a victim of the June 3 flood and fire disaster at the Kwame Circle here in Accra. That is coming your way shortly. But that's in Accra. As we know, the flood waters all over the country. In terms of this crisis that we're dealing with, they threaten lives and inundate homes and businesses, destroy properties as well, and damage property, as well as preventing access to essential needs. So for our Floods of Trauma series as well, Nanaya Wachi Adam has been visiting some residents of Denche, Dechemso in the Ashanti region, and these persons have been facing some sort of apprehension as their homes experience persistent flooding. Just take a look at the situation and to paint that picture, national one for you, as the crisis that we are facing.
This isn't a moat house. Neither is it a stilt building. This is an ordinary home in Dechemso, a popular community in Kumasi. In a traumatic event such as flooding, residents experience difficulty sleeping. They get depressed, angry, and heightened feelings of anxiety.
So you can see, it takes some tactics or techniques to get into this building. So residents have adopted another route. Instead of using this particular gate, they would have to use another stretch. Even at some point in time, they have to jump this particular wall before they can get out of their house.
With the slightest formation of dark clouds, Ikrinya trembles. Her house is flooded after a downpour a week ago.
In so I say, that woman say, when you're baby and fat. Just a year, just hope you have one thing. I got trouble until about 3 hours, 4 hours. Ansana waba inside.
When it rains, it gets to my neck. When the house floods, you have to go out for about 3 hours before you can get back to the house.
And then we have another muhanya at check. Can I crack a moon to me? Say,
last week.
Last one, we are at and then I'm here, Valanda Muha.
The flood waters reached the window level of the building and covered almost all her personal belongings in her room. Days after the heavy flooding, she is still counting her losses.
We
are suffering. My child is unable to go to school because his books get wet. My room is flooded.
Now this is the means of exit for anybody in this particular building. Because the house has flooded, they use this wall, this fence wall, as a means of exit.
Streams in the community are blocked with gutters clogged. This isn't enough to properly channel the water at a rate that allows it to fully transport all the dirt, twigs and leaves it collects, causing floods in the community.
Now all gutters in this community is connected to this particular stream. The stream is unable to house the water because it is covered with sand. To allow the stream collect all the water, they have to scoop out the sand, and that is what is going on here.
When it rains, the stream is unable to contain the water. This area gets flooded anytime it rains. When it happens, it breaks down the walls and destroys properties.
The Dichemso Community Mosque closer to the stream has flooded, leaving worshippers to adopt a smaller space for worship. Amos Mensah has been in the community for the past 12 years. He narrates the situation anytime there is a downpour.
Because of a former assay, and so not our son. And from Kuana to say, a yeguma, so I have from concern that that's a time because of Sabi Papa and Yamisa kind of and so
this nice mosque isn't functional anymore because of flood. We only use a small portion. When it rains, you can't use this route. The problem here is huge. This is the main Mention road. The Kumasi airport is just here. They should do something. We even see crocodiles in the stream sometimes.
The flooded mosque can be described as a pond for fishing. They want government to solve the flood problem in the community.
We plead with the government to do something about this for us. We don't have any money to rent a new house.
Authorities should fix the gutters for us. If not, our challenge will continue anytime it rains.
For Joy News, my name is Nana Boache Dankwayado, Kumasi.
Well, that's the case in the Ashanti region, but my colleague Maxwell Agbaba has also been tracking the journey of one man who's been affected by the June 3 disaster. There's more in this report.
It is the evening of June 3, 2015. Flood water has displaced fuel from the storage tank underground at a fuel station at Circle. What we know is that a cigarette butt was dropped on the water, triggering a big explosion and a huge fireball that turned the skies orange. The flames continued to burn. Solomon Akrugu was just 12 years old, sitting in a room nearby. He suffered severe burns on his face. It completely disfigured him. Eight years later, on a Monday morning, I meet Solomon at East Legon doing what he does every day, begging for alms. That is his only means of survival. He used to sell air freshness but lost his capital when a friend stole his wares. Begging on the streets of East Legon is very difficult for him. Sometimes he gets nothing even after begging the whole day. He says some drivers do not want to see him close to their cars because of his disfigured face. He tells me about an incident where a man asked him to remove the mask he was wearing and stop begging on the streets.
I only get food to eat when I go to the traffic light to beg for money. Many people do not give me money there. Some of them sack me when I get closer to their cars. Some of them think I am wearing a mask. A man once told me to go and look for a job and stop wearing the mask. A lot of people tell me that. I am really suffering here. The hardship is real. I am always scared when it starts raining because I am homeless. I always sleep in front of shops because I do not have a place I call my home.
Solomon's parents separated after the fire.
It's Ram season, which means it's time to serve with Ram 1500, Ram 3500, and Ram TRX. Hurry in now for great deals on the trucks that are built to serve. Right now during Ram season, get 10% below MSRP on the purchase of a 2023 Ram 1500 Laramie. Not compatible with lease offers or with any other consumer incentive offers. Contact dealer for details. Take retail delivery by 5/31/23.
I really need the surgery because I am experiencing a lot of stigmatization. People do not want me closer to them because of my disfigured face. That's why I need the surgery, because that will marry later in life. For now, no woman wants me. Even the drivers in cars find it difficult to give me money. Nobody wants me around. When the sun is out and hot and the light hits my face, it's really painful. That's why I need help. I can't touch it because blood will start oozing from my face if I do. So I go and hide in the shade until it's evening.
He's pleading for a job as a tiler and is also begging for assistance for plastic surgery. There are many Solomons out there who are living the trauma of the June 3 floods. Victims of the disaster, including Solomon, are yet to be compensated. Last year, the One Ghana movement reminded the government to do so. Yes, a member, Senyo Husi.
As expected, authorities trooped in to this very space and on the streets, promising as usual to bring perpetrators to book. 7 years on, no one has been held accountable for this very avoidable disaster. The government of the day and the government today have all but paid lip service to justice, accountability, and commensurate compensation for victims.
The One Ghana movement has since 2017 been pursuing justice for the persons affected. One of their lawyers, Samson Ladi Anyenini, led the matter in court in 2018. The case is still pending. He says it has been a very slow process.
Because there have been what we call interlocutory processes in the course, but just very recently we seem to have cleared some of the hurdles. So actually we're in court, this week. Apart from the plaintiffs that were mobilized by One Ghana movement, we know as a matter of fact later, as we discovered, that there were many more who were affected who are not part of the suit in court. Some had left to their villages, some had left to their hometowns, various places. It's unfortunate that the law has a limitation period within which you can take a suit, and in excess of 5 years you don't have that opportunity. But I believe that even for those who are in court, the state could look at this more carefully and see what could be done to everybody. For as long as there will be evidence to show that somebody is suffering as a result of what happened, I think that the state could look at being the father for all kind of thing.
Many continue to live through these dangerous floods of trauma, and others are scarred for life. Maxwell Awagba, Joy News.
And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. When we return, we'll speak to Dr. Kojo Mensah Abramba, who's the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission. Is my guest here on The Pulse. Please stay.
You will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary, and even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, but maybe next time, Charlie, you know what? I'd go shine my shoe.
Hey. Yo, myself, I'd go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay fly.
Chairman, you see the white sign it here.
Who be late?
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
And the job life regardless.
This promo is under the supervision of the National Lotteries Authority under the Caritas Lottery Platform.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
But it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey!
Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank, and you're strong, tough.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile. Is the money too small?
A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid, for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smile small?
Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
In partnership with National Theatre and Joy FM, Roverman Productions present I Like What You Like, an original play.
Hey, Kwesi Trumpet. What kind of misfortune follows you that when your rich auntie dies, the only thing she leaves you is her ashes? Boy, my friend, you are not going to keep this in this household. Go and put it outside the gates. You can stay with it and regard it as waykeeping. Oh, or you can use it for tea. Your share.
Well, his auntie named him a sole beneficiary to her estate.
I'm his wife. May I know how much it's worth?
Roughly $350 million.
What?
I Like What You Like shows at the National Theatre on July 7th, 8th, 9th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. One show on Friday at 7 p.m. 2 shows on Saturdays at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 3 shows on Sundays at 1 p.m., 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. You can buy tickets at a cool 150 Ghana cedis via short code *365 *535 # and all the usual outlets sponsored by Ebony Condoms, Gino, GCB, and M Notify. Roverman Productions. Be the...
It feels good to football with GoTV. Nobody but GoTV gives you all games of La Liga and Serie A, the Premier League and UEFA games that matter, and the world's favorite cup competitions. Get GoTV Super for only 249 cedis to enjoy the football overload. GoTV, love it.
Embraces your lifestyle, reflects your taste, and brings you joy? Look no further, because the Joy News Habitat Fair is here. Join us for an extraordinary event that celebrates affordability, comfort, and luxury in the housing and construction industry. That celebrates affordability, comfort, and luxury in the housing and construction industry.
And national... Yes, but he's restricted, as you're pointing to, 8 years. Beyond President Akufo-Addo, what happens?
You see, beyond President Akufo-Addo, we have a perspective plan, which is there.
But another government will come in and may not be compelled to use it. That's my fear.
The point is that we always say may not be compelled. But that is the process.
We've never seen that before, Doc. You agree?
That a government is what?
Will come in and continue what someone else has been doing.
A lot. You see, sometimes we say it because we look at the surface. The continuation is more about 70%.
Really?
Yes, it's more about 70%. We haven't gone to the ground to find out. And even those which are not continued by programs, very often, what happens is that governments, when they start a program, often do not have the full outlay of resource flow. So if I'm able to get 20% of it, let it go. When another government comes, there might be a lapse. And a lapse means that you have a liability to pay. That is it. So when a new government is elected, then they feel very uncomfortable taking up this liability before starting a new project. So then they look at the cost benefit. To be better if I start a new project than going to pay this liability, which is there. So in order to cure that, in 2016, they came out with an act, which also has an LI, 2411, which says that for a government to start a major project, you must indicate the full resource flow. And there's a committee that polices this. So now it is established. And the committee is not just politicians, private sector, technical people who are on it. So this is the cure. So we realize that it is more economic for a reason why government do not continue with projects and less political. And that is it. Because every government would like to score a victory with completing a project.
So we're doing convenience politicking?
No, it's not convenient.
Because all governments will pick and choose. So wouldn't you suggest at this point that we bring up a law that will compel.
You see, if you bring up a law that will compel, reality speaks. So reality is better than comparing.
Right.
If you are saying that the law already exists in our constitution, 35:7, it says it. It said as far as practicable, you should continue.
Right.
So the constitution even gives a lapse there, a space for you to maneuver. So to make it practical, we say that if you start a project, give the full financial flow. So if the next government comes, they just follow. Because they know where the money is coming from, instead of going around and wasting time. And that is quite practical. Then tell somebody, I have a whip.
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't need this is the king. It's not realistic. So the reality is that let us have the resources. And when there are resources, we have done it in the research shows, governments continue. Where they aren't, then you give them the chance to say, we're not going to continue.
Dr. Nichuko, any message for our viewers, Ghanaians?
Well, let me say that Ghanaian, one thing has been hammered over this year a lot. The mindset, attitudes. We realize that is a huge cost for us, even for our development. The whole thing we're talking about, infrastructure, rests with that. Maintenance is an issue. People would like to see new things instead of maintaining what is there. This is an attitude. People would like to also, think about themselves, throw the waste into a drain, and they think they've solved their problem. But you are creating more problems for yourself and other people. So I would say that we're working on that. It starts from our children.
Yeah.
Don't tell the children, put the rubbish at the corner. If you do that, the person comes of age, they will do that. Yeah. You don't tell a child, when the child wants to, free itself, go to the toilet and say, do it in the sand. You don't get that person going to the washroom after the person growing up. So it is starting with our children. And there's a whole range of WASH program around that, which is working on these attitudes. And I think that if the attitudes are changed, we can do it. Ghanaians are doing it somewhere else.
Right.
Why can't they do it in their own country?
Look, we'll have this conversation again because there are so many aspects that we need to do in terms of development planning. Thank you for spending some time with us. Let's talk politics now because flag bearer aspirant Alan Kojo-Kyerematen has become the first of 10 aspirants seeking to lead the New Patriotic Party into the 2024 elections to appear before the vetting committee of the party. The former Trade and Industry Minister is expected to answer some questions about his eligibility, general party matters, and the national affairs before the vetting committee clears him. Now, this committee is being chaired by the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay. We'll take you now to the party headquarters. We understand that there's an office here in the Greater Accra region where the party is holding that vetting. And let's get more from Samuel Mbura, who's there for us. I mean, what can you tell us about the process so far?
So, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is expected to come and address the media. He came here about an hour and a half ago after Kojo Poku, who was a second aspirant to be vetted by the committee. The first was Alan Kojo-Kyerematen, the former Trades and Industry Minister. He wouldn't talk to the details of what actually transpired during the vetting process, but just to say that it was a successful conversation with the committee, and he is hopeful that he will sail through to the next stage of the contest and use the opportunity to announce that he would be starting his Greater Accra constituency tours to drum home his message or to make a case for his candidature. A couple of hours ago, Kojo Poku was the second person to be vetted by the committee. He told the media after the vetting that it was a successful one. The committee congratulated him for the good work and the sterling performance that he exhibited before them. So he's waiting for the recommendation after the committee's work. So the Vice President is the last person to be vetted for today. We know there are 3 3 aspirants that were slated for today, and he's the last person to be vetted by the committee. So he has been here for the past 1 hour and 30 minutes going through the process, and we know very well that definitely questions of their contributions and what they have been doing for the party will come up, and issues about their vision if they are given the opportunity to lead the party. So that's what I'm getting from the vetting there. But we have not been given access to the vetting room where this whole exercise is taking place. So we can only rely on the aspirants when they come out to tell us or give us a brief as to what transpired in the meeting there or in the committee with the committee. We know the committee is chaired by the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay Jr. there. The Vice President for the good work and the sterling performance that he exhibited before them. So he's waiting for the recommendation after the committee's work. So the Vice President is the last person to be vetted for today. We know there are 3 aspirants that were slated for today, and he's the last person to be vetted by the committee. So he has been here for the past 1 hour and 30 minutes going through the process, and we know very well that definitely questions of their contributions and what they have been doing for the party will come up, and issues about their vision if they are given the opportunity to lead the party. So that's what I'm getting from the vetting there. But we have not been given access to the vetting room where this whole exercise is taking place. So we can only rely on the aspirants when they come out to tell us or give us a brief as to what transpired in the meeting there or in the committee with the committee. We know the committee is chaired by the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay Jr. there. The Vice President is coming out, so I just get closer and then we'll listen to what he has to say.
Professional for today. Professional for today.